All right, let's talk about something that's basically hardwired into our DNA, the power of a really, really good story.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about it? Why are we still telling our kids stories, about a thirsty fox or some hero from thousands of years ago? Well, today we're going to crack the code. We're going to look right into the DNA of storytelling and figure out what makes these tales tick.
So, here's the game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics, the building blocks of any story. Then we'll jump into three ancient forms. You've got the clever fable, the huge classical tale, and the super-focused haiku. And then we'll tie it all together to see why they've stuck around for so long.
Okay, so at their heart, pretty much all stories. I'm talking everything from the latest blockbuster movie to that silly joke you told your friend yesterday. They're all built from the same stuff. These ancient patterns that our brains are just, wired to latch onto.
And if you boil it all the way down, you're really left with two main flavors of story. You've got the small, personal lesson, that's your fable, and then you have the giant, world-building epic that can define a whole culture.
All right, first up, fables. And look, these are so much more than just cute little bedtime stories. Think of them more like these brilliant, bite-sized packages of wisdom, designed to teach us something crucial about ourselves. Just, usually starring a talking animal.
So picture this. It is a scorching hot day, and this fox, he is so thirsty. He's stumbling through a vineyard, and suddenly he sees it, the perfect prize. This bunch of plump, juicy grapes just hanging there, practically calling his name. He can almost taste them.
So he backs up, gets a running start, and leaps! But nope, falls short. He tries again, pushing off even harder, straining every muscle. But those grapes just hang there, taunting him. He goes again, and again, until he's just totally wiped. Finally, he just gives up. He's completely defeated. But, instead of just admitting he couldn't do it, his ego kicks in. He's got to save face. So he kind of scoffs, flips his nose in the air, and starts to walk away, like he never cared in the first place.
And as he's walking off, he mutters, those grapes were probably sour anyway. And boom, right there is the moral. It's super easy to hate on something you can't have. And yeah, you guessed it. This is literally where we get the phrase sour grapes.
So what we just heard, that's a perfect fable. It's short, it's sticky, and it has two key ingredients. First, you've got personification. That's just a fancy word for animals acting like people. And second, you've got the moral, that crystal clear lesson that hits you right at the end. Okay, let's pull the camera way, way back now. We're shifting gears from these small personal lessons to the huge, epic stories that define entire civilizations. Yeah, we're talking heroes, gods, and monsters.
So get this. On the island of Crete, there's this nightmare creature, the Minotaur, part man, part bull. And it's trapped in a massive, unsolvable maze called the Labyrinth. And the worst part? Every single year, the city of Athens has to send its own kids to be sacrificed to this thing. It's a total reign of terror.
But then, one year, this young hero, a guy named Theseus, steps up. He volunteers to go, and he swears he's going to end this nightmare once and for all. And lucky for him, the princess, Ariadne, is so impressed by his guts that she secretly gives him two game changers, a killer's sword and, weirdly enough, a simple ball of thread.
So Theseus walks into the maze, but he's smart. He ties one end of the thread to the entrance. He goes deep into the darkness, finds the Minotaur, and slays the beast. But now what? How does he get out? He just follows that simple thread all the way back to daylight, back to freedom. It's the ultimate story of how being smart is just as important as being strong. Okay, so this story is part of a bigger family called classical tales, and you can kind of split them into three main buckets. You've got myths, which are all about gods and how things began. Think Romulus and Remus founding Rome. Then there are legends, which are about realish heroes whose stories got, well, a little exaggerated, like King Arthur. And finally, you have epics, which are all about one hero's massive, life-changing journey, exactly like the story of Theseus we just heard. All right, let's take a deep breath and make a hard pivot here. We're going from these huge, sprawling battles to something way smaller, way quieter, but honestly, just as powerful. We're going to look at a type of story that's all about capturing one single, perfect moment. I'm talking about the haiku. It's a Japanese poetic form, and its job isn't to tell you a long, drawn-out story.
Nope. Its goal is to paint a super vivid picture and make you feel something using as few words as humanly possible. It is all about precision.
And the magic is all in the rules. It's a strict but really elegant structure. The first line, exactly 5 syllables. The second line, 7 syllables. And the last line brings it home with 5 again. This 5-7-5 setup is like a creative puzzle. It forces you to pick every single word with incredible care.
Okay, listen to maybe the most famous one ever. Old silent pond, a frog jumps into the pond, splash, silence again. I mean, think about that. In just 17 syllables, you get the whole scene, you can feel how still and quiet it is, you hear that sudden splash, and then the silence comes rushing back almost louder than before. It's a whole story in just one breath. Incredible.
So we have these moral lessons, these massive cultural epics, and these tiny little snapshots of a moment. They seem worlds apart, right? But they're all linked by one amazing fact. They have survived for centuries. So, why? What's their secret?
Well, it's because each one of these story types plugs directly into a basic human need. This isn't just about entertainment. They serve a deep psychological purpose. Our brains are literally built to understand the world through stories, and these ancient forms are like perfectly engineered vehicles for the exact kinds of messages we need.
Here's the bottom line. Fables, they give us a moral compass. They take complicated social rules and wrap them up in a simple story that's easy to remember. They're like mental shortcuts for how to be a good person. Classical tales, they give us a shared identity. They give a whole group of people a common history, common heroes. It's the glue that holds a culture together. And haikus, they're like a workout for our attention. In our crazy, noisy world, they force us to slow down, be present, and find the beauty in one little thing. They're a tool for mindfulness.
And all of this really leaves us with one huge question to chew on, doesn't it? We know these ancient forms had what it takes to last for ages. So what about our stories? What are the simple, powerful stories we're telling today that people are still going to be talking about 1,000 years from now?